Hey guys, hope you're all good. Welcome back to my channel. It's great to have you here. Today we are going to be talking all things drones and how you can take your game up to the next level using these 5 simple tricks. But before we get into the video, make sure if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I drop a new video. Let me know what you want to see next and how you found this video. Without no further ado, let's get into the video. The first tip that I want to teach you is knowing when to fly. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean when is the right time to fly? Or let me not say the right time, because you can fly at any time. But there is a best time, and that time is at sunset or sunrise. Golden hour. I mean, 1-2 hours before sunset, and you get like that 30 minutes after. Where it's all dusky and moody, and the tones are popping, and you're creating bangers, because you get the best colors. When the sun is in the middle of the day, and it's at its peak, this light is so harsh and it shines down and it blows out all the highlights and you lose a lot of detail. We don't want to be flying in that time because your footage ain't going to look that great. The sun's going to be really harsh and it's going to be difficult to color correct your footage. Doing that simple thing alone will take your footage to a whole nother level. It would just be looking so much better. Colors will be softer, tones will be popping. They're creating nothing but bangers. That leads me into tip number 2. Tip number 2 is having an ND filter. So the drone that I fly currently in Mavic Air 2. This is my drone of choice. It's so small, it's portable, it's practical, it shoots 4K 60, 4K 30. I don't really shoot 30, 24 or 60 only. It's perfect. Like, look how it just folds up. I've got an ND filter on. Now this ND filter that I'm using is one by Polar Pro. I'll leave the link down below. I am not sponsored by them by any way, shape or form. Now the reason why you want an ND filter on, because we want less light coming in to our camera. What that also does when we're using an ND filter, we can get more dynamic range, we can capture more detail in those highlights. It's like, if you're into music, it's like a compressor. It just balances everything out and brings it all together nice and even. The thing about this ND filter is a VND, means variable ND filter. There's a little dial on this one here. I can just twist this glass here. And what that does, it sets the levels of different density coming into the camera, and I can dial it down. Or if it's too dark, I can dial it back up. You don't have to take it off every single time for different types of light. We already know the light's always changing and it's just impractical to do that. So you want to get an ND filter, it blends out, it just blooms and it just makes everything look good. And that's something that you can do to take it to the next level. Going on to my third point, we want to have our shutter speed directly double of our frame rate. So if we're shooting 4K 60 for example, we want to have our shutter speed at 120th of a second. This is the golden rule right here, and this is for when you're filming. If you want to take your footage to the next level and make it look cinematic AF, then what you want to be doing, you want to be shooting at 24 frames per second, and you want to set your shutter speed to a 50th of a second, and so forth and so fifth, because we will get that natural motion blur. Like if I'm moving my hands across this camera now, there's slightly a blur to it, and that's replicating the natural motion of our eyes. So we want to make sure we're flying at the right time of day. We've got our ND filter, our shutter speed is directly double the frame rate of what we're shooting our footage at. Taking us on to tip number 4. Just some simple moves that I'm going to go over. I'm not going to mention every single move because maybe that can be another video. Let me know down below in the comment section if you would like to see that. Have a subject down below, face your gimbal directly down, and then just take that drone up. Simple movements like that. It's called a top down, take the drone up. Simple. Another thing you can do is called a reveal shot. You can just be flying your drone along. You've got a subject, whether that's a coastline, a beach. Fly your drone along. We want a nice smooth movement. And then what we want to do is bring that gimbal up gradually in one movement. No jerking. We absolutely don't want no jerking at all. We want a nice steady movement. Rotate that gimbal up, reveal our shot, and make our footage look absolutely epic. We want bangers, and bangers is what we want to create, and this is how you can do that. This one's for those who think you're a bit more advanced, you're a bit on the wild side and risky, and you're happy to go for different shots. Just always fly through something. It's something that I incorporate into my photography. I always like to have something in the foreground or frame my shot. Fly them at your own risk. I'm not encouraging you to do this, but if you do decide to do this, you're gonna get some bangers. Taking me on to point number 5, that is color grading or color correction. And again, this is a whole nother thing. Color science, people are really into this stuff, and this can be for more of the advanced user, but I'll go over the basics. In this type of drone, and the Mavic Air 2, we get a profile that DJI supply on here called cine-like, D-cine-like. Some of the different drones, I know the Mavic Pro 2's got a D-Log, and what that is essentially a profile. Makes our footage look really flat, like there's no saturation, no color. It pretty much looks awful. What that helps us to do is to retain as much detail in the image as possible. If you're into photography and you know about shooting raw photos, it's giving us more information, capturing more detail in the highlights, more detail in the shadows. Like I said, that's a whole nother topic, but I'm telling you, with these 5 simple tips that I shared with you today, you can definitely take your footage to another level. It's something that I've used, something that I implement, and it helps me to make my footage look better, cinematic, using simple tricks. So that brings us to the end of the video for today. Just a quick recap. We want to make sure we are flying at the right time. We got our ND filter, we got our shutter speed set correctly, we're using nice, smooth, creamy gimbal movements, and we're gonna color grade our footage. So that's it guys, please make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when I drop a next video, drop a like, leave a comment, let me know how you think, let me know what you thought about this video, and let me know what you want to see next on this channel. I'll see you later.